And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, and I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Some of you may ask, well, what does that mean? Well, it means we do everything from assembling 3D printers, such as the Prusa Mark IV down here that's hard to see, to building uh, printers, as you can see, mostly up here. I also do some 3D printing prototype work and participate in open and closed betas for various projects. And I do actually print some things such as the helmets right up above here. So welcome on in, everybody. Thank you very much for coming in today. I was hoping to stream possibly yesterday, but I was wiped out. I was wiped out from RMRRF and the trip back. And I know some of you are waiting for some updates, or you may have seen some updates on Twitch. So I do plan on chatting about some of that throughout the evening. Hey, Major Gamer Geek, aka Additive Adam, over on YouTube. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. You had an awesome booth out at the show as well. So thank you for being there. Hey, Killer Prince, welcome on in. It was so great to see you and meet you at the show. Yeah. It was so good to actually be able to put a face to the name on so many of you, and then to see people like Major Gamer Geek again that I haven't seen in probably since Earth, if not Murph. So welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. I did not even attempt to stream at the show because while this mic may have worked well, I don't know. I may bring it with me and try it out at Midwest Rep Rap Festival. Though I think RMRRF, here's the thing. They had a show network, a streamers network, and a makers network. So they did have 3 different segmented networks, so hopefully that would have worked out well. I do know there were several people that were streaming from, there you go, fixed. There were several people that did stream from the show. So hopefully I pop in on a couple of those here or there. But I even found out that I think I personally took like 5 or 6 pictures the entire weekend. So I'm in the process of getting a photo dump from Mrs. Dragon, who is there, as well as some pictures that I grabbed off of a photo dump that Pezliz did over on Royal Nomi's Discord. So, and speaking of Royal Nomi, there she is. How you doing, Royal Nomi? Welcome on in. Hey, Nick, welcome in. Well, good thing, Mr. Wizard. Yeah, I was trying to fast forward through some of them just to see if there were some shots in there of me. Just because, like I said, I know Lee Marie streamed, Nero was streaming, Zombie was streaming. Jano came by and I did like a whole little spiel on the Annex Engineering K3. And I know he filmed it, but it wasn't in the 60-second short that he did. So hopefully I'll be on there a little bit more down the road. I'm doing good, Royal Nomi. I'm trying to get my sleep back is what it boils down to. I did get up with my alarm yesterday at 7, and then apparently I woke up again at 9:30 when Evil Diesel texted me to ask how I was feeling and just to touch base with me. But yes, so RMRRF. Massive success for 2 years in a row, right? We had over 2,600 people, I think it was. They're still doing the numbers, but roughly 2,600 people through the doors on day 1, 4,000 over the entire weekend. And it was amazing. And they had another 18,000 square feet. So they had 36,000 square feet. So they had more vendors there. They had a lot more maker space there. And the turnout was major. But with the larger turnout the first day, because there was two sides, it didn't feel as crowded as it did last year. So that's great. It was really a good day, or actually a good weekend. Hey, Emoji 3D, welcome on in. Bionic, welcome on in. So yeah, so for those of you that follow me on Twitter and just some of the stuff that was going on around probably some of the other socials as well. So the weekend before RMRRF, Mrs. Dragon took off with our Kia Soul, fully loaded with all of the stuff. I'll get to that in a second, Killer. Actually, we're going to continue working on our SLUNAS FF1R and then talk about some of the stuff out of RMRRF. But so Miss Dragon drove out there a week ahead, and she took the stuff for the table. We had the Annex Engineering K3. We had the Micron, the Salad Fork, the Rook 2020. We had a Death Racer that literally Evil Diesel grabbed parts off the printer at 5 a.m. as he headed out the door to come pick me up and go to the airport on Friday morning, right? We also had our two little 150-gram battle bots that you saw us build. And yes, as Royal Nomi says, Mrs. Dragon was highly regarded. And there was an interesting story. I'll try and relate it on how she met up with everybody. But on Friday, me and Evil Diesel fly into Denver. And Mrs. Dragon picked us up at the airport, brought us back to the cell phone lot. She had the Kia Soul and the Honda CRV, and her mom and brother went up in her mom's Honda CRV. Me and Evil Diesel grabbed some coffee and some Dunkin' Donuts because, well, hell, it's fishing. We needed Dunkin', right? And we jumped in the car and started taking off. 5 or 6 miles up the road, the engine acquires some new air cooling ventilation. Basically, our engine block broke up, and I believe from the sounds of it, we most likely threw at least one rod and a few bent valves in there as well. Good news is, one, long story short, we found out on Monday that Kia is replacing the engine. So there's actually a class action lawsuit out on this model of engine, and it covers the same model of engine that's in Kias and Hyundai models. And so they are replacing the engine. Mrs. Dragon is still back in Denver because they said it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 days to 3 to 4 weeks to get the engine in. So she was going to be in Denver through like later this week to see if they get that engine in. If not, she's going to fly home, spend some time here until they call us to say the engine's there, and then she'll fly back and pick up the vehicle. But also, good thing is, it happened to me and Evil Diesel as we're going from Denver to Loveland versus Mrs. Dragon, as she's like driving through BFE, Kansas, where there's nothing but fields and wind, right? So the timing was perfect. Me and Evil Diesel, both being in the military, were like, well, that sucks. Let's start calling people, right? So we called Chris and Chris from KB3D, and they rallied the troops. They called me back, said, I'm going to text you the number for Steve, aka Steve Builds. Call him. They've got the Voron truck unloaded. They can come and get you or get the stuff. Well, that turned out to Steve putting his V0 on a table for us, and Ian from How To Texan hitting the road and came down to get us. And about the time as he got there, shortly before that, KB3D got there, and we unloaded everything into the trailer that Ian had, and the wrecker showed up, picked up the car. Me and Evil Diesel jumped in K Breezy's rental vehicle, and we rolled up to the show to try and get set up. And Mrs. Dragon followed the wrecker to the dealership to, get contact information and everything. The long story short, the community came together and got us to the show in time to get everything set up, and the car's all good. Chris and Chris, really good dudes. Ian from How To Texan. I mean, the guy was clutch. Hey, Stephen Poole, welcome on in. And yeah, and not only that, but at the end of the show, like it finally hit us. Like we didn't want to worry about it on Saturday. And then Saturday night, it was like, crap, how are we getting back to Denver on Monday? You're still down to one car. We had 5 adults and all the stuff to take down there. Well, my oldest son and his husband drove up from Colorado and spent some time up there at the show on Sunday, checking it out and chatting with me and stuff. And they took mom-in-law back with them and dropped her back off in Denver. So at the end of show day, we got everything packed up in Mrs. Dragon's, mom-in-law Dragon's CRV. Okay, hold on a second. We just got raided by the Free Heathen. Welcome on in, Free Heathen, and all of your viewers. Bexy Beans, oh my God. Hello, beautiful. Welcome on in. Thank you for chatting with me via Discord over the last couple of days. It's been great. 491 Phantom, welcome on in. Hybrid Robotics, welcome in, my friend. Welcome in. Hey, Free Heathen. So you've missed like the first half of the story, which was all Friday, but that was just, car engines blowing up, having to call and rally the troops and get everybody there to help us make it to the show and get set up. Yep. Hey, Pez Liz. Hey, K2 Kevin. Yeah, new printer, by the way. For those of you that haven't realized it, there is a new printer over here. The V0 is sitting on the ground because the V01 is going to get rebuilt as a 02. So it's not demoted. It's just going to get rebuilt soon. But we do have a X1 Carbon sitting over here printing some stuff right now off of K2 Tevin's Maker World. And by the way, I also want to say, so we've been working on this nice 3D SOS print or 3D print SOS fader over on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Bexy, for gifting Free Heathen a sub. Welcome on in, Zombie Hedgehog. Welcome on in. Yeah, you'll see a few things. And so my cup from one or both my cups came in. I have a cup that has this design on it. I'll have it on another stream. But Free Heathen, this one is for you. Because remember, my dude, I don't just build printers. I do print stuff. Well, thank you, Bexy. Yeah, Federer is really cool. He is so down to earth, so easy to talk to. It was just great. But yes, everybody came together and made sure that we made it up to the show on Friday. And then, like I said, they helped us get back down to Denver. New phone, who dis? No, it's cool, Free Heathen. I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you because I can. So, like I said, How To Texan drove down from the show. He had already gotten partially set up. Drove down with his F-150 in a trailer, and we loaded everything out of the broken sole into the trailer, and he took it back up. Me and Evil Diesel jumped in the car with Chris and Chris from KB3D. They drove us up. Mrs. Dragon followed the wrecker to the dealership. The end of the day, we found out on Monday as we were loading up the U-Haul that it is going to get covered, and they have a new engine on order. Okay, Bexy, that right there sounds like a good stream topic. I hear hot tub streams are all the rage, so I'm sure bubble bath skincare streams too. Free Heathen, we are bonjour bionic. This is me as I always have been. Gotcha. Welcome on in, Jason in 3D. Welcome on in. Can I tilt my camera down? No, I don't want to. I can do this though and switch the cameras up, and you can get a view across the table. Exactly. Bexy being a hot cub. Peas in a pod. Your son stole it? Oh, yeah. I ordered a bunch of shirts, and so Mrs. Dragon had one. Her mom and brother had one. I had a second one to wear at the show, and then I had like 3 that I handed out at the show. Now you want a hot shower? Hot shower or a cold shower? Yes, coffee, Royal Nomery. Definitely. We got to have coffee. So what we've been working on, Free Heathen, we started this last week right before going to the show. This is a Clunaz FF1R. This is an automatic filament joiner. So it'll allow us to, it has a controller board, separate motors, a heating element, the whole 9 yards. And it's going to allow us to join like small sample rolls together into a bigger roll, or if you've got rolls that are almost used up, but it's really not much, you can put them all together. My understanding is there are presets in here for PLA, PETG, ABS. I don't know about like nylon. I'll have to check once we finish doing the build and get it going. So that's what we were working on, and these other pieces over here will be the filament winding system, so it can come off and go winding right onto a spool. So this will be one of those cool things. You might not need it if you have something like the Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder or a trad rack, because with those, if you're using Happy Hair firmware for it, you can do endless spool. So you can basically finish off a spool, and then you can group lanes or gates together so that it says when it's done with this spool, just go to the next gate and pick that spool up, and then go to the next one and pick that spool up. So if you're doing a long print, you can actually put several spools together like that, instead of having to go and get like a 3 or 5 kilo spool. Does the AMS have that? I wasn't sure, Additive Atom. I believe when they first came out, it didn't have it. So that may be something new. I don't know though. This is my first experience with a Bamboo and an AMS, and I figured with the way the weekend went, I needed something, right? So so yeah, there are a few different types of shredders available, and then with the shredded material, you can either use it for like making sheet goods, and you want to shred it down. Don't take your prints and just try and make sheet goods out of it. You need to shred it down, make it somewhat consistent in size, because you get a better melt. If you're going to do a sheet, or if you're going to use it as a an injection mold or something like that. And even doing, trying to do it and create new filament out of it, you need to get it down to a consistent size pellet and then add some amount of raw unused, because 100% recycled filament has lost a lot of its properties and it's not good. You're not going to get good extrusion. Pick me up, you deserve it. And I'm getting Miss Dragon to learn how. There you go. So Miss Dragon has a cry cut. She's been learning how to use the Shapeoko CNC, and the X Tools D1 laser that we have, the 20-watt laser, I have yet to use it. I built it and I handed her the manual and said, this is yours to figure out how to work. And she has. Yeah, she was intimidated, but she went and did YouTube videos and stuff and figured out how to use it. So we're sucking her in, and then she saw a lot of the stuff from the 3D printing realm, and she was amazed. Like, she kept bouncing off and taking off everywhere. Now, when I got the X Tools D1, I did buy the enclosure for it that sits over the top of it. So we're following the safety guidelines. We got the glasses and we got the enclosure that goes around it, and she does follow that. We do have the exhaust vent stuff as well. The only thing that we didn't get yet is I think it's the RA2, the rotating thing for doing mugs and stuff. But I have a feeling that may be somewhere in the works here soon. Yeah, it works okay, but it depends, Ozzy. Like, if you're already starting with some recycled filament in the mix, it just degrades as you go through and do it, because you're basically running it through a melt and heat cycle multiple times, and it just degrades it. Hey, Aaron 3DP, welcome on in. Welcome on in. So show-wise, the show was fabulous. We had a great time at the show. We came home with probably like a dozen different shirts. So you'll probably see some new shirts around over the next few days. Surprisingly enough, I didn't purchase much. So I had to, because, well, so I was in the corner. We had Boron, Fabrico, West 3D, KB 3D, and then we were right behind KB 3D. So I had the Boron team, KB 3D, my sponsor, Fabrico, and West 3D there. So I had to go over. I was helping Zivy with a power cord anyhow. And hush, Pez, stop dropping hints. And so I saw, I'd seen this shown before and I had to get some. This is the Galactic Midnight Meteorite. This is that Ambrosia Sparkle, was this ASA filament that Zombie showed. Is a really pretty purple. I only got one. There was a part of me that wanted to just, I don't know, buy every spool of it that they had, because this is a beautiful filament. There will be more of this in stock in the Dragon Den. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. And then, so I bought this, and we talked to this one company. Oh, well, wait a minute. When I bought that, I got to do some little off the screen, moving some things around. So when I bought this, I also went ahead and picked up one of the West 3D tensioners, because, well, they were right there, and I was like, well, that way I don't have to make one. I can just buy one. Your brand? Yeah. Well, and funny enough that you mentioned that is, this is a West 3D filament, right? And KB3D is going to be stocking this, from my understanding. So Yeah, you're once again, you're going to see a lot of this. Something else you may see a lot of on this stream in the not too distant future is EPAX. So EPAX was right next to West 3D, and Mrs. Dragon stopped by the or came by the table one of the few times that she flitted by and was like, "Hey, you need to go talk to that EPAX company because they're based in North Carolina." Okay. So I got up and told Evil Diesel, "Hey, I'll be right back." Got up and walked over to EPAX and was talking to him. I said, "Hey, how's it going? My wife was telling me that you guys were based in North Carolina, and we're from North Carolina as well. So I figure I want to come over, exchange cards and stuff and start chatting with you guys because I'm going to need a supplier of filament coming up here soon because I'm going to start up with Toys for Tots." And okay, Hybrid Robotics, see you in a few. And they said, "Well, where at North Carolina are you?" I said, "Well, we live in Sanford, North Carolina." And she was like, "Oh my God, our warehouse is in Sanford." I'm like, "You're kidding me." Come to find out, their office is like 30-minute drive from my house. So me and Evil Diesel are going to be going to their office and checking them out. So EPAX, um, they make resin printers and they make resin. Yeah, and they also do FDM filament, but they only do like PLA and PETG, and this is some of their fast PLA. Um, I I was trying to buy some, and the guy there is like, "No, no, 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 don't buy any. No sense in you taking it back. Just come to the office, and we'll work with you." I'm like, "Okay, that's going to be great." Well, I did wind up going back over and buying a couple because I was running ABS at the show, and with the cold overnight temperatures and the fact that people going in and out, in and out, in and out, the cold air just kept coming in, and I was having, after like the first half a day, I was having really bad problems with bed adhesion with it. So I went over and grabbed some EPACs, boom, done. And I was printing coins. And we pretty much, they wiped us out of all of our, the Digital Dragon larger coins. But yeah, I just grabbed a couple that they had. But color saturation is very good. The spool winding is very good. These will work perfectly in an AMS. According to them, I haven't thrown it in there yet, but this is their gray, and I got their cool white as well. And like I said, you're going to see some more of this on the channel as well, because if they're close, I'm going to try and see if we can't work out some type of deal or a sponsorship. And if not, and they can work with me because they sell bulk, I may be doing some bulk orders from them and just back up the pickup, load up, come home, and maybe I'll just give some away myself. But yeah, the fact that these guys are that close is awesome. You got black, pink, and orange. Awesome. Yeah, when I went back on that second day, like midway through the day, I think there was just black and a gray, a white, and a couple of pinks. So I just grabbed what I grabbed, which was gray and white. And so that is pretty much all I bought. I say that, but there was there were some folks there. Yeah, it was reasonably priced. So this is like 19 bucks, I think, on their store. Hey Pete, how's it going? Great to meet you at Rocky Mountain, my friend. It was so good to finally meet you in person. That was really awesome. Oh, one thing, and I know Royal Nomi talked about it, and Pez Liz talked about it as well. There was a little snippet that Royal Nomi has up on her Discord. They had a couple of springs there. those springs were printed, and I believe it was their ABS like resin filament, and they were springy, right? So that was amazing. Evil Diesel, like I'm going to look at the FDM stuff, maybe some because I do have a resin printer. But Evil Diesel was like a kid in pig heaven when he went over and checked out their resins. And then KB3D is going to be sending him some of his resin as well. Hey, Glendon, welcome on in. Great seeing you at Rocky Mountain. We're just kind of going over some of the stuff at Rocky Mountain right now and some of the stuff that we brought back. So the other thing is there was a group there that was selling Masumi 2020 extrusion and 500 millimeter links. Okay. They were selling them for like $8 an extrusion. And I went to try and get some the last day and they weren't there at their booth. So we packed out, went back to the hotel room. Well, Sunday night, I was talking with, hey, Karen Chow, welcome on in. So great to meet you face to face and in person at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival. And the fact that I got to see you when I was over there chatting with the E3D folks in Georgia, that was so nice. But I got my pin still here, and I do have your maker chip. So these were so incredibly cute, and my wife loves them. She's probably going to steal this one because I don't think she got one. But yeah, these things were so cute. And thank you, K2 Kevin, for providing me some maker chips. And thank you once again for also providing me the files so that I could start making my own. But you'll see that I've got a few maker chips left, and I did get a few that I swapped out with some other people along the way. But that is really neat, and I'm going to have some of those printed for Murph and RMRRF. So, for those of you that were at the show, you're going to know that I came back with less printers than I left with. Okay? As I mentioned, we took the Annex Engineering K3, which came back. There's no trading for that. No trading for that. A Micron Plus, a Salad Fork, and the Rook 2020. Now the Rook 2020 is going to get a facelift, and I'm trying to decide how much of a facelift I want to do. The reason I say that is because it started chewing on a belt, and so I know that there's new upper parts for like the XY joint and stuff, and I'm not sure if it was caused from a seized bearing or something. So I needed to do some troubleshooting on that, and I may reprint some of the parts for that. I may reprint all of the orange parts in yeah, it's Fusion Filament. Is it Fusion? Which one? Give me 1 second. No, Atomic Filament. That's not right. Yeah, it is Fusion Filaments. Fusion Filaments ABS 1.5 electric pineapple, because that is the closest color match to KB3D. And since that printer has basically been sitting on KB3D's booth for 3 shows now, I might as well just make it match their colors as best as possible and be done with it. It'll be my contribution to my sponsor's booth. And it's great because we can print off, we've been printing chameleons off on it, and the kids love them, especially in a Starlight filament. Kids love them, and a plate of 3 takes like an hour, and that's because I'm not running it fast. I prefer my prints, especially at shows, to finish versus going fast. And yes, there is a Rook 2020 Mark II now, which removes the front um, extrusion and has the tensioning in the front rather than on the motors themselves. So there's some a lot of changes actually. And yes, you can get the 2020 frames from DLL PDF in whatever color you want. So that's great. That might be an idea for me as well. Now, one of the other things, well, let me, we're going to chat a lot. The whole talking head thing. So as I was saying, 4 printers went, 2 originals came back, and we picked up the carbon, the Bamboo X1 carbon with AMS when we were reminded that we were going to go to Microsoft. More on that in a minute. So a little individual by the name of Woohoo Sam from the Voron crew, right? I say little individual. He's 14 years old, but he's part of the Voron crew, and he was running around the whole show. He started off with an Orbiter V2, and his whole plan was to figure out what he could trade up to by the end of the show. And he came to my table a couple of times, and I looked down and said, "Hey, I've got no parts. All I've got is printers." He's like, "Okay, game on." So he kept coming back and kept coming back. I mean, he'd worked his way up to an entire fully built stealth burner tool head without a board. Motor, the whole 9 yards, to a Revo, right? The whole thing just missing a board. A Rapido 2 Magenta, the limited edition Magenta one, and a couple of other things. And I was like, hey, it's going to take more than a Rapido 2, even the Magenta one, because I was in the beta for the Next G, and I've got a Next G fiber at home waiting to go in something. And it's going to be something unique that I can use in a build that I'm going to do later this year. So that got his wheels turning. And he goes, well, how unique? This, that, and everything else. And finally, I looked him square in the eye and I said, you bring me a tube, you get a printer. He brought me a tube. He brought me a tube. And Mrs. Dragon was kind of like, this kid's getting a little annoying because he keeps coming back. And I was like, but I get what he's doing. He's hustling, right? He's hustling. So I get one of the, see if I can get this back off now. This is a tube air-cooled hot end from Luke's Lab. It takes a heater down on this side vertically, thermistor cartridge on this side, once again vertically, wires come out. And this is made to be mounted on a chalice or another CNC milled aluminum frame. Okay? These are designed to work with anything from an 80 to I think it's 140 watt heater, 24 volt or 48 volt. Okay. There's another one called Tube, I think it's Tube Conductive, which has an even larger melt zone, think volcano length melt zone. And it's, once again, you're connecting it to an aluminum mount and everything like that. Yes, Nick. Very much yes. So right now, and I can't get it off by hand because I kind of started to wrench it on here. But I was mentioning that I got this, and one of the guys behind me on day 2 says, well, do you have so this is once again a standard M6 nozzle. The Tube Conductive, I believe, may take a volcano nozzle. He said, well, do you have a hot end for it? I said, no, but I'm going to order a hot end. He goes, hold on a second. he hands me a titanium nozzle. Give me 1 second, folks. Hello? My apologies, folks. That was a Denver number, so I didn't know if the dealership was trying to call me. So if a Denver number hits right now, I'm going to answer it. So, well, good question, because we do have a VZ bot sitting over here in the corner that we're going to be building now that we're back from RMRRF, right? So it could go in a VZ bot. I also picked up a set of 50 500 millimeter extrusions. So I'm looking at some other things. Yeah, I'm looking at other things that I may potentially build as well. You'll go into the Stinger, then ultimately into a V-Core 4. I'll also entertain your ideas. Hey, you know what? Exactly there, Killer Prince. So I did talk with Fabrico. So for those of you that don't know or don't remember, this is a Fabrico kit. Fabrico came over and was very pleased to see this. In fact, he said if he had room, he was going to take it over to his bench. He didn't have room. Thermal conductivity of the titanium isn't as good as like tungsten. However, it is very abrasive resistant. So, yeah, it actually stands up to higher heat tolerances. That's why it's used in some aircraft designs. But yeah, it's an option. It was given to me for free. So yeah, I know you're going to try and put on a Rook. I do happen to have a heater for this, a nozzle, and a few other things from Luke's Lab, who's, you know, one of the main people for the tube. And I'm going to order that from him along with the chalice. And the chalice is belt compatible with not only the StableBot, but the Boron series. So maybe we do something in a Boron. And yes, the tube is rated, I believe, to like 500C. But maybe not with the air one. The air one, not. The conductive one, yes. The air one, I want to say, is like 380. So anyhow, I got a tube. And I looked at Woohoo Sam and said, well, which one do you want between the salad fork and the micron? He said he wanted the micron. Like, perfect. Can I leave it here through the end of the show so I can continue to print things on it? Because like I said, I was out of all my prints on the table. He said, sure. I want to say he actually traded it for either a 2.4 or a Trident by the end of the show. Okay. Day 2, he came back and said, I know you're interested in something really, really unique for builds. Yeah. He goes, well, what if I told you I had a full ERCFA 2 kit? And I'm like, thinking, well, I've got some ERCFA kits, but okay, so this is a full DFH ERCFA 2 kit, right? So you can tell I actually took the trade. So we got a full ERCFA 2 kit. Then he threw in a Takado hot end, right? So rigid mount, aluminum CNC rigid mount, the melt zone, These are full length, so you can put in 2 volcano heaters on each side, volcano nozzle, and a standard thermistor. So we're going to put in a PT1000 in this. This is rated to 500C. Okay. Hey, Timor, welcome back. Welcome on in, my friend. How are you doing today? How are you doing? Darn it, which way does this go? I don't remember which way the thing popped. Silicone sock, get back on there. Don't mess with it. Okay, so we get the silicone sock back on. Here you go. Okay, great. You got another hot end. Well, what are you going to pair that with? Well, that's why it is. Did put it on. There we go. That fits. Okay, so we got a new hot end, right? Another new hot end. Okay. Yes. So then, what do we get to pair with it? We got an FXD extruder. Okay. Don't have the extruder motor, but that's fine. It uses, I believe they said it uses the same extruder as the LGX, and I probably, or motor as the LGX, and I probably have one I can toss on here. But these are dual large gear, all metal, and all hardened steel. So once again, what just happened? That artist Amelia, welcome on in, rating with a party of 75. Holy cow. How are you doing today, Amelia? What were you doing on your stream? Because you've been, which character have you been painting on your stream? I'm doing great. I feel so bad I haven't been on your stream in a little while, but kind of what we're getting out of this stream is the fact that we just spent a long weekend out in Colorado at a 3D printing show and wound up driving back and doing a 27-hour drive straight back. So yeah, welcome on in. A tactical maid. Ooh, I got to go check that one out. I've got to check that one out. She does a lot of good, like Warhammer minis and some other minis like that. Really, really cool artist. Don't have the patience myself or the skill to do that. So I love watching people who can do things like that. Amazing. Thunder Keys, good evening. Welcome in. Eagle Brett, how's it going? Oh, Amelia, if it was in a car, that would be great. Hey, Westry One, welcome in. So actually what happened was our car blew an engine, and that means Mrs. Dragon is still stranded in Denver right now as we're waiting for them to replace the engine. But me and Evil Diesel, the plan was always to drive back in a U-Haul. So at the end of the day, Sunday, we packed everything out, got it loaded in the CRV, and my mother-in-law's CRV. And then Monday we get up and we get moved down to, everybody's down to Denver. KB3D actually dropped us off at the cell phone lot area at the Denver airport. And we caught an Uber from there over to pick up the U-Haul. And then we had a 15-foot U-Haul truck. We stopped by and had lunch with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law and everybody. Then we went to the storage unit and loaded up, the stuff that we were getting from Mom's storage unit. Moved all the stuff from the CRV, so everything that was left that we took to the show was coming back with us in the truck. And as we were leaving, we're like, okay, we need to stop at a gas station, grab some coffee and a USB charger that we could throw in the truck, because one of us is going to have our phone running with the GPS and stuff the whole time. Mrs. Dragon says, don't forget you wanted to go to Micro Center. I said, got you, because it was 2 miles away. Not a problem. So I went to Micro Center. So Mrs. Dragon, the X1 Carbon is because you reminded me to go to Micro Center. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to go until May when the one in Charlotte opens. So it's all Mrs. Dragon's fault for reminding me to go to Micro Center. I'm not blaming you, Westry. I mean, we can blame you, but yeah. So basically, welcome everybody, welcome in. But yeah, we left Denver at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 6 p.m. East Coast time. Yes, Pete. We walked in. I walked straight back there. There was a guy that just came out of the back, and I said, "Do you have any X1C with AMS combos?" And he said, "Yes, I do. Let me go grab one." I said, "Great." He came out. I dropped the lid on the cart. He slid it straight into the cart, and then we grabbed whatever. So yes, there is Bamboo Lab X1C Carbon right back here. In fact, it is starting to print. We printed a few things already, right? So we did our little scraper, and as you can see, yes, we did do multicolor. So we did a scraper, which is always great, because otherwise you do like this with your finger and you jab into your fingernails, which is why my fingernails, this is not dirt, this is blood. I've gone ahead and printed some things to help with the tube, with the PTFE tube pass. I printed the 6-pack of tools and the tool holder. This is actually just a layer change, right? But this is Gridfinity enabled. So far, everything I've showed is off of K2 Kevin. So yep, all of that. Of course, the first thing we did was our 25-minute benchy in PLA, right? Beautiful first layer. Straight off, first print, calibrate and go, right? This is the Bamboo PLA. You can see that there's words there if we didn't have all the emoticons. I can't read the words, but there you can see that there are the words there. It does have the standard benchy whole line, but overhangs and everything printed beautifully. Benchy for Westry 1. Yep, there you go. You love the K2 scraper. Cool. I have not tried your profile yet, Zombie. I did download it, but I haven't tried it yet. Hezlus, thank you for gifting a sub to K2 Kevin. He should just call it Kevy, because everybody was calling him Kevy all weekend long. K-Tool Kevin, yep. I'm actually printing out a box. I'm going to print out a box for the maker chips and one of the inserts, so I can start making some maker chips now that he's updated it. So once again, he did make me some maker chips, which was really cool. He's just so cool. So he did make me a Digital Dragon maker chip, complete with QR code, though I've yet to actually try one of the QR codes. But he did make me a sleeve of these, and he also made like KB3D a sleeve. So I did do a swap with KB3D. Of course, I've got Hezliz. Reprinted, which is Pete. Got one of his. I've got a handful of the RMRRF 2024 ones. I didn't get a zombie hedgehog one, but if you would like to send one to me, or I will get one at Murph or 3D Printopia, whichever. That would be really cool. Yeah, these were awesome. These were so awesome. And I love that he comes around and he gives these to people. It just it's he's a really cool dude. You're such a tool. Well, um, oh, you are going to have them with working QR codes. Well, I was told that these have working QR codes on them. Like I said, I just haven't tried it out. Warms the cockles of my heart. Like I said, K2, it was really it's a really cool little gesture, and it does it does it hits me right here, and thank you. But the FXD extruder, from what they were telling me, and this is, we'll just say right now, it's marketing hype because I haven't verified it yet. We'll give it a big shot, because a DLC hardened CHT maybe nozzle in here, volcano style, a couple of 100-watt heaters, and PT1000. We'll see what we can do here. But they were telling me that this extruder, with the right heat or with the right, like this package, right, is limited to 2 meters per second flow by clipper. Now, I don't think I will ever print anything like that. But then again, if you're rocking like a 1.2 or a 1.4 nozzle, you might be able to. With the right setup, you might be able to. So, you know, this, and by the way, this package here is about like $500 without heaters, without a nozzle, without a thermostat. What I got right here is about 500 bucks. So these came from A3DP, Advanced 3D Printing. I know Luke's Labs carries these as well, but this was actually one of their demos off their table. And it was Jack who wound up with the salad fork. These came from A3DP off of their table. And this, I want to say, is the 50, which is the volcano size. They also have this in, I believe it's a 20, which is a standard size nozzle. But yeah, this is the Takato hot end. See if I can get this to show. There we go. Takota hot end and the FXD extruder. But yeah, so I've got cool things to play with. Now I just need to either throw it on a boron. Like, I don't know, I was sitting there going, well, gee, if I can run really hot temperatures and cool volume, let me throw it on the Trident 350. And then I'm going, well, that has the Enraged Rabbit Filometrics cutter tool head, and I would have to change that stuff up. It's already got the Fadis Next G hot end on it with a Fadis tungsten carbide nozzle. But I will also say that I bought one of these before going to the show. So this is the Drop Effect Next G Fiber Edition. Seriously. Okay. So it's all black. believe it has a, I believe this one has the stainless steel heat brake, and we've got the PT1000 thermistor and the 24-watt higher heater. So it's a horizontal mounted heater block or heating element with a 3mm screw-in PT1000, and same one that works on the Rapido for the thermistor. Like I said, it's got the stainless heat brake, and it should come somewhere in the rest of the package with a hardened nozzle. So it's a full package ready to go for fiber or any type of glass fill. Does have a Grove mount, though I don't know why you would use that when you can rigid mount it. We do have the DLC coated nozzle. We also have the extension with another DLC coated nozzle. So yeah, this once again is the Fadis Next G fiber. So they have two variants of the Next G. One is their standard one, which is just a standard brass nozzle, probably a plated brass nozzle, and standard heat brake. And I believe it's red in color on the heat sink there. And the all black one here is the one that comes with the stainless block and the stainless block or the stainless steel heat brake, the hardened nozzles, and the PT1000 thermistor, which is all the things that I wanted for this hot end to have. So I really like this. Me and Zombie were in the beta test, and I want to say we were both seeing like 45 millimeters a second cube sustained when running it with the extension and the 0.6 nozzles. And I've got it set up right now without the extension, but with the 0.6 nozzle on my Trident 350 build. So really, really, really like these. Highly recommend these nozzles or these hot ends to anyone. I mean, and the top hole pattern does use 2.5mm screws. That is because it is drop-in for any Dragon. So this will work on anything, any mount that you have for a Dragon. This is a drop-in replacement. So highly, highly recommend that. It may be a high temp Hevort. It may be something like a Doom Cube. I don't know. Who knows? It may be a stable bot. Maybe I just talk to Luke Slab and start working up a smallish stable bot, because I don't need like a 600 by 600, monster, because I don't have a place just yet. Maybe soon. Who knows? It is very compact. Like I said, it does have the extension module that basically turns it into a volcano. But that extension you unscrew the V6 nozzle, you screw that extension in, and then you screw the nozzle in, and you're basically getting a volcano with just using standard M6 threaded V6 nozzles. So you can throw a CHT in there. You can throw they've got the CHT now that are abrasive resistant. You can throw a gamma in it, a Slice Engineering Gamma nozzle in it. You can throw an Undertaker nozzle in it. You can throw Beta's tungsten carbide nozzle in it. Pick a nozzle, an M6, you can throw it in there. So that's the great thing. I do not know much about this other than it's IC3D polyhex. I'm going to look it up real fast because this filament sample was handed to Evil Diesel late on Sunday after talking to the E3D or the IC3D folks. So I'm going to try and look it up real fast. So this is, do it this way because it's easier. So this is the IC3D Polyhex. It's a high temp PETG filament. Warning, polyhex will make your polycarbonate obsolete. Okay. Material was developed in partnership with the U.S. Army to create an accessible 3D printing filament that can be used on most desktop printers to manufacture injection molds that can withstand hundreds of shots in the field. Okay. So glass transition is 110C. Heat deflection temperature 99C. Validity, blah, blah, blah. Printing tips. Prints at 270 to 290. Wow. And 110 to 120 C on the bed. So textured PEI, smooth PEI only with a PVA-based release agent and Garolite. Faster speeds and colder printing temp will feature a matte finish. The recommended use, high temp application, injection mold, vacuum forming molds. So cool. Sounds pretty interesting. Definitely something that we can check out. I know Evil Diesel said he didn't have anything that could print it, but he knows that I have machines that can. So, you know, I've got a little sample. If he comes up with a mold or something that he wants me, you know, I plan on using this for a project that he wants, and I'll just use it on, you know, I'll print it in one of mine, probably over on the K3. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, and speaking of the K3, kind of bouncing all the way around. That's the way the whole weekend was. Hector over at Fabrico liked that so much, and I opened up the side panel, was talking to him about the electronics, and he's like, those electronics shouldn't be covered up. So he is going to custom cut a acrylic side panel for this for the next show, so that we'll have an acrylic panel on the side of the electronics, so you don't have to I don't have to sit here and take it off to show people the electronics anymore, which will also mean that maybe there will be some lights thrown in the electronics bay down the road as well. Thank you, Felipe, for the follow. Follows are always appreciated. Doesn't cost you anything to follow, so. Hey, Shenanigans, welcome on in. See, this is something that Shenanigans would probably get into. Hey, Hybrid Robotics. So this is filament that Evil Diesel got from IC3D the last day of the show at Rocky Mountain. I knew nothing about it, but we were just taking a look at it. And this is their IC3D Polyhex filament. A little sample here. It looks like it's about $40 a kilo from their website. And this is, basically it's a PETG formulation, but it's a high temp. So you're printing it at 270 to 290 on a print bed between 110 and 120. Textured PEI, smooth with a release agent, Garolite. Faster speed, colder printing will get you a matte finish. It was designed in partnership with the U.S. Army to create a filament that can be ran through most desktop 3D printers and manufacture injection molds that can withstand hundreds of shots in the field. So by that, they're saying it's high temp applications for injection molds and vacuum forming molds. Commercial and residential dishwasher safe. It has a high glass transition temperature of 110 Celsius or 230 Fahrenheit with a heat deflection temperature of 99 C, so about 194 Fahrenheit. So pretty cool. I don't plan on using this for my projects. I plan on Evil Diesel coming to me and saying, I need you to print this out of that. Because I've got I've got like the Annex K3 and stuff like that I should be able to print things on with. So that's going to be pretty neat. One of the other things that I got at the show was, I believe this is the, oops. I think this one is the La Frite board. I think that's what they had. I believe this is around a $20, $25 board. This is from Libre Computer. He actually brought about 200 of these to the show. Right? What do we miss? We're back. Yep, in spite of nasty people, people are monsters. Yep. Yeah, so this is the La Frite board. Da from Libre Computer was at the show. This is one of the few pictures I did get. These are great little boards. I also have, I believe, a La Potato here, and I've got 3 of the Alta boards, and all 3 of my Alta boards are rocking 128 gig eMMC memory on them, so they're super fast. Straight up, 2 of those boards were given to me by Da. And I'm going to be working with Libre going into the future on some other projects. They may not all be on printers. They may be on some other things. But we'll see. We got some things in the work on some other stuff and some cool things that we may be doing. I was talking with Mrs. Dragon. I do plan, if you were on NeroStream earlier today, you may have heard him say that he's got a package from Rack Robotics coming. Don't know what deal he made, but my deal with them is I'm going to pre-order and hopefully get shipped sometime in May. But I'm going to get an EDM as well because, well, why not? It's cool stuff. It's CNC technology, and the fact that you can use basically wire and cut through, I think it was something like 3 centimeter thick metal, like 3 centimeter thick, probably aluminum, and some steel with a wire and a lot of power. Kind of sounds cool to me. So I'm going to build one of those. I'm going to get one of the, not the huge like full tank like fish tank ones, but I'm going to get one that you can put on like an Ender 3 or an Ender 3 style printer. And yeah, we're going to build an EDM from Rack Robotics at some point on stream as well. As you can see, I'm going to have a lot of different various projects that we're going to be doing on stream. Because, like I told Free Heathen and SOS, 3D Print SOS makes so eloquently. Yeah, we print things. Yeah, all kinds of cool things that are in the works and going on. you know, we've got, I think, thanks to Pete, I got me an extra name tag here. I do need to go ahead and put my name on it because unlike Mrs. Dragon, I didn't get one with my name already pre-printed on it. Apparently, Mrs. Dragon has been acquired into the fold. So let's let's go in a little bit more on some of the story time here. So Mrs. Dragon gets back to the hotel before I do, right? And they're all set up and I'm sitting over there at the venue trying to get things squared away. Because like I said, we got a little bit of a late start due to the car blowing an engine. And I get a phone call from Miss Dragon asking, what the plans were for the evening. Because she goes, because I'm sitting over here with Liz, Nomi, this zombie guy, and this other guy named Kevin, and I can't remember who else was there at the time. And I'm like, uh-oh. Like, okay, well, we're trying to get out of here now. I'll be over there shortly. So we get over there, and long story short, according to Nomi, she's sitting there, they're all sitting there in the Embassy Suites lobby, just kind of chit-chatting, chilling, trying to figure out dinner plans and stuff. And this strange person walks up, starts going, hi, are you guys with the Rep Rat Festival, this, that, and everything else? They're kind of looking around like, who is this person and why are they asking questions? We don't know this person. I think Pez Liz was like, he looks familiar. Could it be? And finally she goes, well, I'm Miss Dragon. And it was like, oh, So boom, it was it. She was in. And apparently, like, she's been trading phone numbers with Liz and probably Nomi. And I know I'm going to get ambushed on a stream when I'm going too long. And they're just going to, yeah. Fangirls galore. Let me tell you, she took more pictures than I did. She probably talked to a lot more people than I did the entire show. She was going around, like, I was trying to just run her through the show floor real fast before it started. Like, we got there early in the morning and I was trying to run her around. Yeah, no, it was like every booth. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at this, And I'm like, we've got to get to just these couple of places. But like, you have the whole show to look around. I've got to be at my table, right? So needless to say, the girl's hooked. She's already told me she's going to Murph and 3D Printopia. So it's a fact now. So yes, girls, Miss Dragon's going to be there from now on. She thoroughly enjoyed the Death Racers. I've already been told I'm building more battle bots. So she's mad at Edge of 3D because we finally got our battle bots going against each other, right? Her and her brother went against each other, had some good hits with them and everything. And then Scott, Edge of 3D, saw that we had him there. He goes, hold on, you didn't tell me. And he put his big Death Racer in there. And I went up and tried hitting the Death Racer and everything. And, bent, 150 grand robot against a Death Racer, right? This was very much, David and Goliath type of thing. And I wound up, I bent one of the axles. So I've got to replace one of the wheel motors. No problem. I can do that all day. But yeah, she was hooked. She was hooked. Evil Diesel, I've got pictures of that kid smiling ear to ear like a goon. I say kid. He's a kid to me. He is. But just talking to the kids about the Death Racer, about the battle bots, the whole 9 yards, the fact that we were right behind the Bot Rumble folks. And he's like, I've got like 4 pages of notes on things to do on both the Death Racer and BattleBots in general. Um, cool. Yes, Thunder Keys. Miss Dragon had a blast. She is assimilated. She had she actually put a Miss Dragon on. She took one of my Digital Dragon shirts and put a Miss on it and was running around. She had her own shirt that she made up as well with her cry cut and stuff. So she's like, we're going to be making shirts and ordering shirts. Evil Diesel's coming up with a logo. We're going to have Team Dragon for they're going crazy. I'm like, okay, just tell me when I need to buy stuff. But yeah, it's going crazy. She had a blast. Her brother was like, he spent all day there. We figured he'd be wiped out shortly. He spent all day there and was like he's probably still sleeping, to try and catch it. But it was a blast. She loved meeting everybody. She was chatting with like aliens, Alien 3Ds. Where was his wife? Stacy, I think was her name. And I don't know what the relationship was. The lady that was at Alien 3D's booth. And they were like doing candy swaps, card swaps. Like, that's why I was running out of stuff. I need to go buy get new stickers or more business cards. Need to print stuff for the booth because Mrs. Dragon was like this. Everybody, like she was doing the Oprah, everybody gets one. So it was a blast. Now, mind you, she's an early childhood special educator. You had a blast with Eagle. Thank you. That is so awesome, Pez. And I know, he's got disabilities. And when he gets excited, he gets loud, he yells, and it is so hard to understand. And for everybody there that met Eagle and showed him grace and worked through him, it was so awesome. Thank you so much. He had a blast. In fact, I would be surprised if he doesn't try and take time off of work and fly out for one of the other shows. That's how much he enjoyed it after we got him out there. So thank you, everybody. The community is just amazing. Yes, the Dragon family was out in full force, and it was just a great time had by all. Let me try and get some of this stuff off the table now. Like, I don't know where to. Oh, and there was something else I got as well. As if I didn't have space to move around before, I really don't now either. Let me try and get some stuff moved around here real fast. That'll go there. This is going to out because I need to print stuff with it. Great how we're just kind of storing things in boxes. And I got to remember so I don't forget that. Okay, Shenanigans, thank you for the lurk. Thank you for the lurk and for hanging out as long as you can. I know we all got the job thing. I get it. So one of the other things that happened too, on the last day, as everybody's packing up and stuff, I was chatting with Hector again, with Fabrico. By the way, I am talking to him about trying to see about getting either a full or a partial sponsorship for a Rat Rig V-Core 4 build. If anybody here would be interested in that build on the stream, let me know. Because I want to get into some bigger and cooler builds. And just have fun, continue to do builds like this. So one of the other things when I was talking to Hector was I was asking him about the cocoon from Fetus, right? And he said, well, it's a dry box. It's not an active dry box, but it's a dry box. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I was just trying to figure it out. It runs on batteries, or it has a 5-volt USB-C connection, and this uses desiccant. So you would dry stuff, and then you can store it in here. Funny enough, and this isn't the spool that came in it. This is one of mine that I just tossed in there. Because this one was dried. It had a spool of filament in it, some 3DO filament, which I think I am drying right now. And he sat there and goes, well, if you want it, grab it. Let me know what you think. And I was like, okay. So I went over and grabbed it off of his table. And as I did, I noticed there was filament in there. And I went to open it up and said, oh, somebody's filament's in here. He goes, that's your filament now. Well, I got some 3DO ASA to try out. So that'll be cool. But yeah, just something else that I got from the show that we'll take a look at and we'll evaluate. Like I said, it doesn't have an active heating element, but it does use desiccant and it can keep things dried. So what you can do is use your dryer to dry out your filament, then throw it in that with your desiccant while you're printing. That way you can continue to dry other filament unless you've got like a massive filament dryer there. So just something to be aware of. So we'll take a look at that and see how well it performs. I will say on my bamboo, whoops, I got the boat model. So apparently I can print out the boat, and then it has the motor on it, and it's a wind-up motor. So it's one of a handful. Maybe I'll print it out and give it to one of the neighborhood kids. You know. Hey guys, it's 7:30. How's everybody doing? What? Yeah, I got the little boat model with mine. Oh yeah, you were kind of late, Westry. You missed out on some things. So Mrs. Dragon reminded me that I wanted to go by Micro Center on the way out of town. So since I had a 15-foot moving van, I figured, what the hell? So I now have a Bamboo Lab X1C with an AMS. Stop using 4-letter words in the chat, Westry. You know better than that. Yeah, that was dangerous. I went in and the guy was coming out of the back room over by the printers. He goes, can I help you? I said, yeah, do you have an X1C combo? And he goes, I have them in the back. I was like, good. And I had a cart with me already. So he just went into the back, came right out the back and slid it into the cart. And I said, awesome. So yeah, well, exactly. And Mrs. Dragon's going to come home. If she hasn't already heard me on stream, because she tends to lurk sometimes, then she'll know about it. If not, I'm sure some of her new peeps will rat me out. But she'll find it. But don't worry, because Liz has already said she's going to train her how to use it so that she can basically kick me off of this printer. I'll have to go buy another one so she can have one and I can have one, is what'll have to happen. But yeah, so Westry. So this is a cup from 3D Print SOS. This is Fedor off of YouTube. So, and then I've got another one that kind of matches this. It's got various hot ends on it. So, yes, Westry, Mrs. Dragon, I'm pretty sure is coming to every show. which is going to be great. So, especially since we've got family at all three locations, right? Her mom and brother are in Denver, and my oldest son and his husband is down in Colorado Springs, along with my best man from our wedding. Our younger son is in the Goshen, Indiana area, and then there's a Baltimore extension of her family that is, of course, out there in Baltimore, and they're not too far from the venue. So we've got family in all three places. So I'm pretty sure we will be going to shows together. And on the year, which may be next year, not this year, but the 2025 season, we may not go to one of the shows and make it to Smurf instead. We may miss one of the US based ones to make the trip out to Smurf. Because we've got passports, we need to travel, right? Isn't that how it works? You don't just get a passport and not do anything. So the plan today was to chat a little bit, talk about the epic adventures that we had, and let me tell you, it was epic adventures. The Kia Soul became soulless, and now it's getting a second. It's getting a second life, right? It is going to get a new engine. Mrs. Dragon did call the other day, and they did say that they think it is going to get in this week. So there is a possibility. Oh, Mrs. Dragon was so incredibly excited that the Fix 'em Dude trucks are on the IC3D Toys for Tots. She could not stand the penguins and the chameleons for the simple fact that they are choking hazards. I mean, she's an early childhood special educator, so she deals with the littles, right? So she is so excited, and I think she is going to be okay with me running printers throughout the house doing Fix 'em Dude Motors trucks. So she doesn't wear a lot of jewelry, but she also liked the K2 clip earrings that Pez had. So another cool thing there. So we have been working on the SLUNAS FF1R. We got the main unit assembled before Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. So this is the main unit. We do have two extruders basically in here. We have a heating coil and a piece of PTFE tube that goes through the heating coil with a like a brass or copper rod through it, high heat transfer. And what happens is you put your filament in this way, it comes through the whole path, goes onto the spool holder, and it will find the second end or the end of that first piece of material and pull it to the appropriate spot. It will then load the next piece of filament. It will figure out when it triggers through this side, trigger it over here, and then bring it to the right spot. Because there's a filament sensor here and a filament sensor here. Bring it into this spot right in the middle where the heater is, heat it up to temp, pull it back down, pull it out, and you now have filament that's joined, and you can continue doing that. And what we're going to be doing is putting together the spool winder side next. And I did cheat a little bit before stream and just put the 4 rubbers, aka the 4 little rubber feet on. So on the base. Now we're going to take our other little pancake geared motor. We're going to need our gear. That's going to slip straight on there. And we'll have 4 screws that go in, and I'm not sure, it doesn't show it, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that the wire goes straight down. And I'm actually going to screw this in before putting this on. And it doesn't say which screws to use, but I'm going to assume that there's only 2 A's, 2 B's, and 4 E's. So we're going to use the 4 E screws to screw this in. And I will say once again, the only downside to this whole kit, other than some tight fitment issues, has been Phillips head screws. I hate these with a passion. I would much rather have socket head cap screws because there's less chance, either that or Torx screws, less chance of stripping them out than these, because I wind up having to use one of my iFixit tools to screw these in, and I went to Murph with like a big sore spot and almost a blister right here from screwing things in on the. Okay, Bexy, good night. Thank you for coming in. Good night, Dragon Bean. Aw. Take care, stay sweet, and we will talk to you later, I'm assuming. We'll chat again. And I may have to open these out because we get a little bit of sag at the top, so it's not fully round, so the head can't get in there. So I'm gonna have to use the reamers and ream the holes just a little bit. I'd say that's probably a 5 or a 6. Hey Rob, how's it going? Boron Noob, welcome in. So this is a SLUNAS FF1R. I backed this on Kickstarter and it was fully funded and he did deliver. This was created by a gentleman in Italy, and I will bring up his website. Give me one moment. But it's SLUNAZ, SLUNAZ FF1R. I really need to get like a holder or print a holder for this. All I'm doing is just rounding out the counter bore holes here. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Wizix. I know a couple of people have already printed this out. But yes, night night, Bexy. Hey, Turtle, how's it going? Turtle, I know that you're lurking in some of the same rooms that I am. Just remember that we need to stay on Chris to get a commissioning guide because, yeah, I'm going to be quickly running out of things to do before we start commissioning on Saturday. So yeah, that worked. And these will screw right in. Doesn't take like a thread or two. You just printed parts for a belt tensioner. one of these. I picked one of these up out at Rocky Mountain when I picked up some ambrosia filament. Also got a Lafrite from Libre Computer. I traded a salad fork for a Dakota hot end and an FXD extruder, as well as a full ERCFA V2 kit. Trade the Micron for a tube. I needed room. I mean, we blew up the engine on the Kia Soul, so I needed room to get stuff back. So Mrs. Dragon said I needed to get room to get rid of some printers. So we traded for two, so that I got cool parts that I can use to build new. I picked up 50 sticks of 2020 500 millimeter long Masumi extrusions for $100 on the last day of the show. So yeah, there's an opportunity for a build somewhere in there, I think. And also we were driving back. The plan was always for me and Evil Diesel to drive back in a moving van to bring some stuff from storage that my mom-in-law had put in storage that my wife wanted to keep. So when we did that, we were getting ready to hit the road, and Mrs. Dragon reminded us that we needed to go to Micro Center before we left town because we were only a couple of miles away. And so I said, okay. And so, yeah, we got rid of two small printers, got some cool new things to add to builds down the road. And then we picked up a Bamboo Lab X1C with AMS. So but I got rid of two printers. I may even get rid of a couple more at Murph. Hector stopped at Micro Center as well. Of course, you got to. You got to. And I've already pinged Hector. He said that he liked the K3 build so much that he offered to cut a panel for the electronics bay so that it would show off the electronics without having to open up the side all the time, which could become a hazard if you're trying to point things out to people while it's printing. You know, probably not a good thing to do, like I did all show. And yeah, I've already sent him my logo because he may be engraving my logo into it when he does it. They were printing Merc parts in the Bamboo at the time at Micro Center. I didn't think they were selling any parts for Merc. That's interesting. Or at least I didn't think they were, but I guess they probably are, huh? Yeah, it's probably an employee just going, hey, well, you know, we need to print some stuff for show anyhow, and I need parts for a printer, so that's probably what was happening. Probably because I would. So we just clean up that hole. This is going to press on there, and I'm not going to press it all the way just yet. I'm just pressing it right to about the end. We'll figure out the depth of this when we go to do the next part. Looking for step. That was step 12. 112. Come all the way back here. Step 113. Oh, there we go. There's the ease that we used for the screw. Got the gear wheel in place. Now we're going to need the large wheel and our bearings. So we've got bearings on our bolt. Take off the lock nut and the washer and the 3 bearings, which those bearings are just like sticky nasty. They use demo printers to print stuff for themselves, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're knowledgeable. I would just say that they're taking advantage of the situation. Potentially, Stephen Poole. So in this case, the reason that I have the reamer, use the reamer is, as we've noticed on this particular build, one, the tolerances are kind of tight. I think the parts were really made for potentially PLA or PETG, and I printed them in ABS without doing any size correction, like 105 or 103 or whatever, to allow for the shrinkage. And also printing a part like this with ABS with no cooling fan, it's more of just getting an overhang where it's not a perfect circle. So the reamer, like here, you can see on the big one there, maybe. There's a bit of a straight edge overhang there, so it's really just taking a reamer and cleaning that up. And in some designs, they actually do that for a specific reason, to aid in the printability. They will actually make it like a teardrop shape. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's an M8. We grab the M8 here. This again. But yep, I get it. You're lurking. You better be going and feeding me or something. You're lurking on me. So are you going to be on a little bit later, Turtle? Oh, and I could go ahead and make the comment that I got a care package from KB3D today. I know everybody's shocked. It's one of 2 that was coming, but it was parts that I ordered right before heading off to RMRRF, and I told them, if you can bring them to the show, bring them to the show. If not, no worries. I'll pick them up at or have them shipped afterwards, so they weren't sitting here waiting for me. Some Porch Pirate takes them. I said, I don't know why this just feels like icky. So this goes in, and we've got the hex pattern there for the bolts. So this will go in, line up the hex pattern, just push it in, pull it through. On the other side, we're going to need one of our 608 RS bearings, and that's going to press into this side. Got any pieces of overhang junk there, then yank those out. Apparently I didn't print this with whatchamacallit, sports. So you've got a little nub right here, so you can't print it down here. And if you print it this way, you're going to be dealing with some overhang. This should go in, be a tight press fit. Real good tight press fit. That's not going to work. There we go. I think I may have overdid it on coffee today, guys. Got that press fit in there. This is going to slide on. Slide on, really. Great, I press fit my bearing. Apparently I probably wanted to hit this hole a little bit with my reamer. So let's do that. And this is the M8. Probably would have been a good idea to do this before putting the bearing on. Definitely do as I say, not as I do here. Ream your hole, check and ream your holes ahead of time. So looks like bearing side first. This is going to push in, and we're going to align it with the other gear. This gets pushed all the way in. We'll go ahead and push this in a little bit more to make sure that it fully lines up with the main gear. Of course, now I think I pushed it in a little bit too far. Okay. There we go. We've got our alignment between our gears pretty darn close. So maybe it'll come up just a little bit more again. Use our screwdriver. On it just a tad bit to pull it out some. Yeah. Now it says to put our rubbers on there. And there's two spots kind of You can kind of see the two little depressions there in the print. That's where we're going to put our rubber. This is just little like felt, whatchamacallit, little felt pads that you would put on like table or chair legs. A stealth press reamer when? Well, you could probably do it with smaller reamers right now because they've got the they've got the attachment for a Dremel. So if you can put some of the smaller ones in a Dremel, you should be able to use it right now. Okay, so we put on our rubbers. Now we're going to grab the coil supports. Which is this piece. We're going to add another bearing in here. It's going to be a pretty tight fit press. And I'm just going to hit the edge real fast with my deburring tool. Hey, Tugboat 3D Printing, welcome on in. So, my new friends over at Tugboat 3D Printing. So, I had originally told them that I was going to bring them the salad fork at the end of the show on Sunday. And then they made a deal, they being Woohoo Sam and Jack from A3DP on the salad fork, that I couldn't pass up, right? So I felt bad that the salad fork was off the table for the folks of Tugboat 3D Printing. The Tugboat 3D Printing is a group of young teenagers who have they're into 3D printing. They do have a business, and it is educational in nature. And their goal is to go into elementary schools and teach younger kids about 3D printing and 3D printing design. So what I did was, since I had made a deal for the salad fork, is we talked to him. I brought KB3D over and we talked to them. And we decided that we're going to send them all the parts to build a Rook 2020, which will be a really good printer to be easily transportable into schools, safe because it's PLA only, and there's that popped in. And so we're going to, and I agreed that they picked out the color. They picked out, I believe it was Fusion Filaments, ABS 2.0, I believe, deuterium blue. So I'm going to print all the parts for them, and we'll get that shipped out. Now what we need to do is just figure out if we're doing the Rook Mark 1, Rook 2020 Mark 1, or a Rook 2020 Mark II, and then get those prints done up for them and shipped out. So yeah. Cool, guys. Now we need to get a bearing on the other side, and of course I'm pretty sure that that's not going to just pop in either. Definitely, guys, if you want to throw out your URL, you should be able to do a URL. Hey, Mrs. Dragon, welcome in. So Tugboat, please throw out the URL for your web page so that people can go and check you out. Okay, so we got a bearing on both ends. That's going to slide on. And that's where we're going to start using our nylock bolt. So we'll get that close on. Grab our pair of our Knipex snips. And I'm not looking to go crazy on this. I'm just looking to get it nice and tight with little to no play. So how are you doing tonight, Mrs. Dragon? So that's good. There's no front to back play, so that's good. And I don't really want to cinch it down to where it'll stop movement. Oh man, sorry to hear that, Hybrid. Hopefully it doesn't stay sore too long and that things get healed up. And actually I just did that. I'm gonna have to take it back off because like I forgot to use the washer. Had me a duh moment there. So washer, then the lock nut. Nice, there you go. Yeah, you know, I'm not 100% sure she had fun. I don't know if she ever wants to attend another one again. So this is the filament winder piece to our SLUNAS FF1. So this is the SLUNAS FF1R. This is a, go ahead and pull it up. Yeah. So let me switch over here. So this is the SLUNAS FF1R. It's a fully automated filament joiner system. It is patented and fully funded on Kickstarter. And this is slunaz.com. Grab that and throw it in there in the chat for everybody. And this is the filament winding side of it. So the main box is the actual automated joiner. And like I said, it will pull filament in through both pieces. And under this piece right here is where there is a heating coil. So it'll come through, there's a filament end stop here and a filament end stop here. So it'll know when the first piece of filament comes all the way through and it finds the end of it. And then it'll bring the next piece of filament in and it knows where that end is. It'll push them together into the melt zone here, melt it, and then pull it through. And it joins it automatically. And the screen has options for specific temperatures. So whether that be PLA, PETG, or what have you. Let's see. Not sure if that's playing any audio. Does not appear to be. So you put the first one in, it finds the end. You put the second one in, it finds that end, and then joins it together through the melt zone. Now you've got the ability to sit there and just keep joining different filaments together onto a spool. Uh-oh, uh-oh. And we've got a raid. Polymaker 3D is raiding with a party of 52. Welcome on in, Polymaker. Welcome on in. So yeah, I backed this on Kickstarter. This is a gentleman. This is Slunaz back here. And he is, I want to say he is in Italy. Yeah, Stefano Lunazzi, so Slunaz. I want to say he is in Italy. And yeah, I thought this was really cool. I backed it. It's going to go well with my pultrusion system because I'll be able to use this to join together pultruded PET filament. So yeah, welcome on in, Winsing, 491 Phantom, Zombie, Ash Prince, Tech Jeeper. Hey, Neokoi Prince, welcome on in. Yep, we got raided. Hey, Mad Cat, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, thank you, Ash. Best of the best. That is so sweet. Ooh, and happy birthday to Nightcore. Okay, happy birthday, Nightcore. Yeah, that's the second raid of a considerable size already today. So that's been pretty cool. So we've just been chatting up about RMRRF and everything that happened at RMRRF. Hey, Shirtle, welcome on in. And Hobby Main, welcome on in. Thank you all for coming in. Let me pop over here, actually. So for those of you who don't know, my name's Digital Dragon 72, otherwise known as Luke. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. That means that we do everything from printer assemblies, like a Mark IV fresh out of the box, or a Bamboo Labs X1C carbon with AMS, which I didn't do on stream, but it's basically get it out, get it put together, start printing on it. To modifications to printers, to full up printer builds such as the Annex K3, the prototypes like the 0G Mercury 1. This is a full frame build enclosed prototype that's still in beta. To the various Vorons that I have over here in the corner, so 2.4s and a Trident. And I do 3D prints such as the helmet up there in this cool little project that we're working on the bench right now, which is once again, it's the Slunaz FF1R. It's an automatic filament joiner. It'll have presets for like PLA, PETG, I believe ABS, ASA, and some other things. Yeah, don't forget about the awesome Rook. We will see the Rook 2020 probably up here shortly. So it's a Rook 2020 Mark 1. It was starting to chew on one of the belts at RMRRF, so I don't know if it's just a bearing that's starting to seize or whatnot. I'm going to reprint the parts. I don't know if I'm going to reprint it as a Rook 2020 Mark 1 or reprint it as the Rook 2020 Mark 2, but I am going to reprint all the parts. And since it seemed to live over at KB3D's booth for 3 shows now, and they're pretty much a sponsor of me, they have said that Fusion Filaments ABS 1.5 electric pineapple is the closest color orange to their logo. So we're going to go ahead and print with that filament and rebuild that Rook. And then Tugboat 3D Printing, I had agreed to provide them my salad fork if I did not make another trade during RMRRF. Well, I did. I did make a trade for the salad fork. That trade included a full DFH Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder kit. So all the parts, bits and bobs, LDO motors, the whole 9 yards. By the way, this is the one from my first kit. The rabbit hat I gave to Evil Diesel's daughter yesterday, and she was ecstatic. We also got a Takata Volcano style hot end that will take not one, but 2 heaters and a thermistor. So this is rated up to 500C. And the FDX extruder system that is full metal gear, dual large gear extruders with hardened extruders, so it can do all kinds of filaments. So between the extruder and the hot end, that's about $500 right there. So I plan on doing some cool things. So that's why I went ahead and made the trade. Now, I felt bad because, as mentioned, Tugboat 3D, thank you for putting your link up there. Tugboat 3D is a group of teenagers, okay? A group of teenagers that have set up a company that are doing 3D printing. They had a couple of Ender, and I can't remember the exact ones, but I think there was like an Ender V2, an Ender 3 Pro, and an A1 Mini with an AMS Lite. And I think there was one other printer. They each have their own printers. But I brought KB3D over there with me and said, hey, I need to do right by these guys. I feel bad. I really need to get them a printer. We talked about some of the things that they want to do, which includes taking printers into elementary schools and teaching the next generation about 3D printing and 3D printing design. There you go, an Ender 3 Pro modded, an Ender 3 Pro stock, an A1 Mini was everything that was there at the show. And so in talking with them, we decided that they needed something portable that could easily be taken into the schools, that they could show off, show how everything works. And, because we're going into schools with kids, PLA is going to be the best filament choice out there. So we showed them the Rook 2020. So we're gonna put together a Rook 2020 kit and send it out to them. And I've even agreed to print the parts. So they picked out, I believe it was Fusion Filaments ABS 2.0 deuterium blue. Already got it on order. I'm gonna have the parts sliced up, and as soon as they get in, I'm gonna print the parts for my rebuild and for theirs, and we'll ship them the parts. I'll ship them the parts, and I'll have KB3D ship them everything else needed to get it going. Basically build a bomb kit for them, and go from there. So yeah, that way they get the opportunity to build one, so they know all about how everything goes together. I mean, an Ender 3 comes mostly pre-assembled with the Ender 3 Pro models that they have. In fact, they got a Micro Swiss NG extruder hot end setup for one of them. So they were in the process of doing that swap out at the show on day 2. But yeah, we're gonna do right by that. I believe that that's really good to be able to go back and do the educational videos and everything. They are a 501c3 business as well, so definitely check them out, and if possible, hey, help them out. Hey, Free Heathen, welcome on in. Be right back. Sounds great. Sounds great. So yeah. So we're continuing on with the SLUNAS. I'll say this is a slower build. We did the main unit, the filament joiner unit, Thursday before we left, which I knew was going to be a short stream. Now we're putting together the filament winder portion, and we'll probably do a stream a little bit later just to we'll do a stream later on to try things out. That's what I was trying to fit out. Says clutch. So this looks like the clutch, which has a spot for that nut to go on there. So we're going to take this and just fit it right over that nut. And as you will see, we should be able to turn things a little bit. Okay, and I think this is getting, quote unquote, the tension on the bolt and squishing the our standoffs a little bit. We'll come over here. We got that, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like fully on there or not. I don't think I want to really compress it all the way. This piece is just a cover for the gear. It's going to be a pressure fitting. We've got a couple of nubs there. And this is just going to pressure fit over the screws that we've already put in. And maybe that I just need to try and screw those down in there a little more. Yeah, so welcome on in, Raiders. How is the stream over at Polymaker? Did you guys do a big RMRRF kind of out briefing, or what were you guys chatting about over at the Polymaker stream tonight? I did have a chance to sit down and chat with Nick with everybody on was it Saturday night or Sunday night over at the hotel. That's just a press fit. I might be able to get it on if I crank on those screws some more, but I'm fine with the way that is press fitted on there. It's just covering up the smaller gear, so no fingers get into the mesh. And so it kind of shows that getting pressure fit and this. So this piece here, you've got two like pins right here and here. Got a heck of a, give me a second. I've got a heck of a elephant's foot here. Need to get rid of. Clean up this end a little bit from an ugly overhang. I had supports there, but apparently I didn't put supports in enough of it. So what's going to happen is this piece is going to lock in on this base. So we've got the angled cutout. This should line up and lock on just like that. And then this little end right here lines up right with the bottom piece here and jacks in. So, yeah. kind of just like that, and that gives you your length and distance. And then we'll have another motor cable. Tonight at Polymaker, you learned that a wind turbine running for 46 minutes powers the average American home for a month. Seriously. So that's a full big like wind farm turbine, not a 3D printed turbine. Hey, CL 3D Printing, welcome on in. Welcome on in. To be Matt over there playing with the drop game. Okay, so this will get plugged into the motor. Take that off so I can actually see what I'm doing. Plugged into the motor. And then it's going to come in and plug into this connector here that we put into the back. Now they put on a DuPont connector, which will work. This is actually a JST housing. However, I'm going to tell you, the way this is put in there, if you put a JST on there, you're not getting it back out. It ain't going to come out. You'll destroy connectors. So once again, we'll get this kind of lined up there, sitting down on top of it, and they do not show, do they? Finder engine not show the color order. So we'll plug it in, we'll test it. If it's not going in the right direction, which should be clockwise, then it's a matter of shutting it down, taking this pen, turning it 180 degrees, plugging it back in, and then running it again. So that will get plugged in once again to that JST connector around the back. So basically doing like that. And probably, I mean, I may gloop this together. It's made to be modular, so you can put it in a box and move it around. But we'll see. Sorry, folks. I got distracted real. Hey, Voron Noob, welcome in. And where are we at now? So we've got the motor connected and everything is good there. Step 125. Interesting, because we've already done that part. Okay, we're making sure that the copper sleeve tubing is all the way to the end, that there's no gap. Let me see if I can pop the top off here. Might be easier said than done with the clips that are on here. Apparently those mounting clips are really good. We're going to hope that I have it all the way in there. I think I did. that would be the end. Yeah, let me see if I can get the top off here. You have to do a little bit of prying. There's a couple of clips that we put in here, and those clips are pretty darn good clips. There we go. So pop this off. Once again, I'll kind of show you the top. So filament comes in this way, and this is a, just a standard end stop being used as a filament sensor. It'll come through this extruder motor, which will pull the filament in, routed through basically a standard heat break into the second filament sensor. And this filament sensor is going to be detecting when the filament has made it to this part of the path so that it knows how much more to pull through to bring the two ends of the filament into this heating coil. This is a thermistor here. This is directly connected to power in a connector that's right in here in the back. And what it's telling us to do is to make sure that there's no gap on that PTFE tube. And there is a little bit, so we need to loosen this nut so that we can then loosen this nut, twist the other heat break in this side to move it that way. Of course, would have been a lot easier to do earlier. Until it pushes the copper all the way to the nozzle on the other side. It's like so not working. Oh, is that what he said? So he thinks I'm just going to commission it by myself. Well, hey, I'll muddle through it on stream, and when I break something, then I'll be like, see, this is what happens if you get a black box. Make sure that you pay for the extra support contract. Because with 4040 T-nuts, that is pretty sweet upgrade. Yeah. It's all about these nuts, right? Oh man. Yeah, so once again, Chris has been a godsend. Chris came and got me and Evil Diesel when we were broke down, so yeah. I'll cut him some. You need to buy the DLC season pass. Is that what it is? Like, how do you turn a threaded thing once it's in? Partially take things apart, apparently. That's got it up against the end now. Got back down in there, make sure we're still at the copper sleeves up against the nozzle that's on the other side there, so we can tighten this edge back down. This back on. So, tugboat. You guys should be familiar with these. These are the standard, just the metal version of the, we'll say the, what do they call them? The Mark 8 or Mark 10 extruders that the enders use. So that's all those are. It's just a pair of those. Which once again goes along well with the like the pultrusion system, because that's what they do is they basically enable you to take and tear down an ender and create a pultrusion system. Oh, I think it's kind of cool that they give you a sticker you can put on the back of this that says that it's using all the right components. So that's done. That is tightened. Now we get into the function setup. Huh. I'll go ahead and leave this off for the time being. There's also a smaller version here that will just go over this particular section. So it kind of leaves everything open. Okay. There we go. Yeah, just fit like that so you could see everything coming through your extruders. Might be a little bit better to do it that one. Put that there. Plug this back in. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to get it in the right order. Otherwise, if it's not, we'll figure it out. Like we have a couple of extra screws. This piece goes on and will lock on your spool. Okay. Just a friction fit, press fit on your spool. There. Pull this out and put out of the way. Okay. Power supply. And by the way, this comes with a screwdriver and driver set. So it's got the, a flathead, a Phillips head. I think it's a 1.5, a 2, and a 2.5 driver. But I will just tell you that using this and the driver, you have to put so much force behind it to get those screws that I had almost had a big blister right down through my thumb here. So it's great that they provide you tools. They're very basic. You also have, a wrench that you'll need for your gear pieces. Got a couple of wrenches. You'll have some spare PTFEs. These are consumables. And that PTFE, once again, is in between this filament end stop and this extruder. There's a piece of PTFE with a copper or brass sleeve over it. This will heat up. This coil will heat up, transfer the heat into the tube. to then melt and join your filament piece. So again, and pressed on there. And then this is the power supply. You got it in the Micro Center upgrade kit. Okay, good. Mission guide is in a loot crate. Seriously? Chris, be nice. Or Chris and Chris is so nice. Like I said, they came and they got us when we were stranded, and they're just great guys. Yeah, we had our mascot bot printed our table. It's in a prismatic color. The kids loved it. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh crap, they're downstairs. But I had the jackbots. I posted it. I posted it. The jackbots were over at the Thangs table. They got away from the table and went running amok. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to print a bigger one if you come to any of the shows. He's going to be at Murph, Miss Dragon. Yeah, we're going to get him to Murph, and we're going to bring some supplies for him so that he has stuff available for him at the booth. What's up, DD? Be kind. Yeah, be kind to my voice. I'm trying, Evil Diesel. I'm trying. Have Chris join me on stream and help me get it up and running. We can do that. Front row. So that is not going to work. And I don't remember a oh, there's the adapter. This takes them into a 2-wire. If you want to do a 3-wire, it's a standard outlet. So I'm going to leave this aside for now because I prefer to have a grounded outlet. So I will just set that stuff to the side. We'll plug this into one of our, I don't know, we keep a couple of power cords available on the bench. Plug that in. Bring it around. Our power jack is on this side. Plug that in. All right. We'll hit our on button. No magic smoke. We have a light. So we just saw this move this way. So we have different temps, 215, 218, 220, 223, 225. We do have a setup button. So let's follow the guide here. And by the way, folks, when you get your SLUNAS kit, it does come with a full set of printed color instructions. So everything we're going through here, we do have printed out instructions as well. So just something to be aware of. So far, the presentation of this kit's really great. The biggest issue I have are the Phillips head screws. I just hate them. And just, I'll say some tight tolerance. We'll go with that. He overtook a Delta too? Man, like I said, he was all over the place. Okay, so turned it on, we're good. Looks like we're gonna click on setup. go into our setup menu and let me see if I can't bring you all in somewhat closer. Get rid of some of the glare, maybe. There we go. Now the cord will just play nicely with me. Okay. Oh, fancy, yeah. Fancy spancy. So this is just sound cycle counter. No cooler, 0, metric, firmware, PLA, reset. Hit 2, choose the material. So it's set to PLA right now. We click that. Now it goes to PET G. We click it again. It goes to, I have no idea what gen is. ABS. PET 1. So PET 1, I believe, would be our bottles. And then back to PLA. So we've got at least 3x. Yeah, I'll figure something out. I'll print something big for you so you don't have to travel with it. So as you see, we have different options as far as material choice. And it rolls through the whole list. Once you get there, to whichever one you're going to do, you hit the back arrow and come back out. So once again, we have 215, 218, 220, 223, 225. That's for PLA. So select the temperature. We can select which one of the temperatures we want to use. Remember that you don't want it to be too hot. So we'll just say 215. Cooling. Now we get to pick the cooling time. It's 50, 60 seconds, 70 seconds, 80 to 90. We'll go ahead and just say 50 seconds. Select how much the wires overlap. Okay. All right, I think I'll go with 0 just to get it started, but it shows you here in the little pop-up picture how much of the overlap is there, right? So 0 has a good amount of overlap, and then you can make it shorter or longer depending on how much you want. Well, we'll see, Free Heathen. So you would insert filament, and now I need to see, I don't want huge pieces of filament, but we'll just grab some SliceWorks samples that I have here. And I'm just going to take some short lengths. I don't want to try and run like super long lengths for this since we're just testing. I'll grab a short length off here. This is Magic Shrooms Matte PLA. Okay. So as we start to feed it in, it does pick it up. And of course, this is super highly bent from being in a coil for so long. Seriously, come on, work with me. Oh, my motors are running backwards. So this motor's running correctly. This motor's running backwards, and the extruder motor, or the winder motor's running backwards. So this is pulling filament out versus pulling it in. This is pulling it through, so that's good. This is rotating in the wrong direction. So we've got two motors that need to be reversed. So I'm just going to stop it. Once again, the motor on the back is as simple as just pulling the connector off and turning it around and plugging it back in. And that should solve this motor. This motor, however, is underneath the housing. Not going to be an easy way of getting to it without taking a bunch of things apart. Yeah. I'm just thinking real fast. So that is going to tell me that I need to, at the very least, take the front off, and I might be able to get to the motor wires to flip it. So let me work on getting this back off. I don't know. Stephen Poole. That is a good question. So before we get going, let me, because there was a firmware section, right? And this did go in the right direction now. Setup. We also have the little pen here, so setup, firmware. Wi-Fi update. So we can set Wi-Fi on this. But no, this is just updating it. So we can't do that. So I have to at least take the front off and then swap the motor pin around, which is doable. And I think this is probably running, I don't, it may run Marlin, it may run something else, I don't know. Once again, he's got a patent on this stuff. So just a matter of negative. Um, I take this off. Let me pop the screen off completely. Bottom two out. I should be able to. I'm gonna say I was wondering if I can get here, but there's screws in this bottom, so I need to take this whole top section off to get to that wire. So the board is right down on this side. So that's where I need to be able to get to in order to swap that plug. Might be able to do it. See which one I need to swap. So it is a custom board. This is a custom board. I don't know. That's off. Let's flip this around, try and get it back on. Easier said than done. Definitely. Hey, Tugboat, I'll say, do what I say and not as I do. And what I say is disassemble this and put it back together appropriately. Do not sit here and try and fish through with forceps in a tight environment. You don't want to damage your wires or anything else for that matter. And yeah, I'm going to have to take my own advice, guys. Yeah, I'm going to be undoing some screws here. Oops. Yeah, that's military style. Exactly, Evil Diesel. Undo a few screws and hopefully we can lift at least this top part off. And of course, so the white connector with the 4 screws that you can see right back here, that's where that coil is plugging into for the main power. So we need to undo the 2 top screws. That would allow us to pull the coil out. from that socket, and we should be able to then pull the entire top of this apart, hoping one's too big, the other one is small, but I'm going to take it all apart. We're like so close. All right. We'll see about the iFixit kit. See if the iFixit does it. Not, I know the SLUNAS will be. More getting the length and then having enough grip to be able to. There we go. Unscrew the connectors, because I really cranked down on it, because this is basically taking 24 or direct. Still stuck. One of the screws. Yeah. Slide that back. We grab the one. Just reverse the polarity from what it was on other motor. That's the nice thing about these being DuPont versus like words. As DuPonts, they're real easy to swap out and rotate. Where with a if they were JST, you'd have to pop them, repin them, and do all that, which is just more cumbersome. It needs to be. Okay, got that. I want to make sure that these power connections are really nice and good. And then before we tighten everything else back down, we're going to just plug the screen in and check out to see if things are moving in the right direction. And if they are, then we'll go ahead, shut it off, get everything going again. And then we'll go from there. Got that? We'll plug this in. This on. That moved in the right direction. Okay, we're good. We're going to select the temperature. Seconds cooling, sure, why not? Injection. Insert filament. Take our filament strand. Try and straighten it out some. Put that end in. Triggers. All right, so this motor is like it's fighting itself, so something is still wrong. Something is still wrong. Why are we fighting ourselves? Get it mill right tight yet? Yes, what this is going to do is it's going to melt the ends and fuse two pieces of filament into a single piece. Yeah, gloop will do that on a printed part, but you don't want to do gloop on filament, like raw filament. All right, so what happened there? That's plugged in, no issue there. Did we? Yeah. So 3 or 4 pens should work, right? You don't need all 4 pens. Motor. There we go, that's better. Wires routed. Things. And back up. This motor in. When we had a test rig, it could test some things out. Okay, so all I'm going to do is say, once again, 215, 50-second cooling, in the middle, insert filament. Okay, we're going to try and insert our filament once again. That motor is moving in the right direction. Should pull that filament all the way through and out, which it's doing. We would bring this around and put it on our spool. And it's going to trigger on this end of it. And tell me to add more filament to it. So it stopped. Now it tells me to insert the next piece of filament. We're just going to take a different color, which is Aquarius matte filament, also from SliceWorks. It's gonna, where's the end? Guess we don't need a huge amount since we're just testing. Yeah, you want to do PLA, PLA, ABS, ABS, stuff like that. You don't want to mix your filament. We're going to take this one and insert it. Darn it. Oh. Now it figures out where it's at. It's starting to heat. This would be pulling it through. I'm cheating and just holding tension on here because I really should have had this on a spool because this is pulling this through. Make sure that that joint gets fully melted together. All right, and that did not seem to do well. Let me grab a spool roller. Oh, and that feels like it's stuck in there now. All right, I need to get an actual spool holder, spool that we can use. Give me 1 second. I think I got a baby spool here we can use. And of course, we'll try with some fresh filament. And actually, things are working, or at least things are moving in the right direction. So let's close this back up appropriately. Yeah, you want to use like filament. So yeah, it needs to be matching temps. It needs to be compatible that they'll stick together. So it could be PET. It actually says GEN, Gen. So okay, so those are down. We had 2 screws to this to the bottom. All good that I'm missing a screw, right? Nothing rattling, so that's good. But I am missing a screw somewhere. Must have knocked it off. Oops, nope, there it is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, as long as the materials will stick together and bond when melted, you should be able to do anything that's at the light temperature. Okay? So, yeah. Going to undo a little bit of this. Say 215. Projection will 0, so it's got the most overlap. Winding is probably going to be like dog doo-doo for now, but that's fine. I'll deal with it later. Now I'm just trying to do like proof of concept-y. And of course, this is going to work better if I had a regular full-size spool. Okay, so first color is in. We're going to need the second color now. Going to do a smaller length of this time. It's actually pulling pretty darn hard to the point where this is okay, tension wise. I think we're getting too much tension here. I think I need to be on a bigger spool. Do I have a bigger spool? Do I have a bigger spool? Ooh. Yeah, I think the issue is the spool size. So let me get a different spool size here. We'll give that another shot. One more try. Okay. And add more if you want to spool more. So, uh-oh, we got some drops going. All right, so we're going to start over. I am going to increase the temperature a little bit on this one. I'm going to go to 218. 218. 60 seconds, why not? Zero injection, that's fine. Insert the filament. Once again, I've never done this before, so we're all learning together. Put the second filament in. Using a proper size spool holder actually will work a little bit better. This will be trial and error to figure out what's the right temperature, what's the right cooling time, and so forth for each filament. So I see this going, but this isn't. So I'm wondering if I do need to push more tension on those pads because I'm not seeing this actually move. And that's what I'm thinking is we need to have Kind of looks like we had a welded joint there, huh? Because it's spooled. I can see the welded joint. Let me bring you guys around here closer. You guys see that welded joint right here? It's not as pretty. I think some of that could just be the, I need to work on tightening this piece of the winder up some more. And then we'll see, because I'm seeing where the winder motor is moving, but the spool isn't. So, give me 1 second. There we go. Pull that off. I'm going to try and tighten this down some more. See if that helps some. Go ahead and we'll try another length, random size. Right now it seems like this motor is stalled. Yep. Still stalling it. Apparently I've got a, got to find the right tension there between these two pieces. Let's keep trying it. Let's keep trying it. We'll just do another length randomly. But yeah, this will be fun because we'll be able to take future links, and as I said, we could take all of our sample spools and put them together. We can take our sample spools and make any type of rainbow color we want out of them. So this could be a fun little thing to play with. And like I said, as we start working down and we've got little scraps left over, we just go ahead and work to get them joined in into one big spool. All right, so that's working now, so that's good. As long as it doesn't stall out under tension. seems to be doing. I don't know if that's like a clutching mechanism or what. Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to watch a little bit more. And that one didn't work. So, yeah, we'll have to watch a little bit more. I'll watch through his videos and look into this a little bit more, see if we can't figure out what's going on here. We'll keep playing with this some. Yeah, Evil Diesel, I get that. Go get some rest. I'm gonna have to probably do the same. It's 9:30. Sorry. We'll continue to play with this this pressure and stuff here is to figure out why we're getting some movement at times and not movement at other times. So I'll continue to work on this. And like I said, watch some of the Lunaz videos to try and figure out why I'm getting some binding versus slipping and stuff. And we'll come back and we will play with this some more. In fact, we may play with this some more on the next stream. Well, not the next stream. The next stream will be Black Box on Saturday. But we will come back and visit this again and work on getting our filaments joined and joined reliably. But for now, everybody, thank you for coming out and hanging out with me. I'm sorry it's kind of a mess. That's the way we get sometimes in the Dragon's Den. But we will, I will work on this. I will try and get this somewhat perfected. And we will see this again most likely on Tuesday. Remember, everybody, Saturday is our standard black box Saturday. So we will be working on finishing up the black box tool changer. Once again, that is a 5-head tool changer. We've got 4 heads built. I just got all the parts for the 5th head in, so I will be building that off stream and getting that set up in there as well. So we will, basically we're doing some final cleanup stuff to get the last things done on that build. So thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. Thank you Tugboat 3D, Tugboat 3D Printing for coming and hanging out and chatting with us some. And you know, sometimes things work perfectly, sometimes they don't. And that's just the way it is. There'll be some trial and error, especially with doing things like this. Once you get it figured out, you know your recipe for how hot to run certain things, how much cooling and stuff like that, you know, we'll be joining these filaments. All right, folks, thanks for being here. Let me find a good raid target for us this evening. Most likely we probably have, I don't know, it's Thursday night. We may have a big Jano. We may have a Beatrix Brit on. Science. Ugly Moo's doing some painting. Jang's working on Lego City stuff. Don't have a Creatix Brit on. Uh-oh. So let's see. What do we want to do? Anybody have a suggestion? All right, thanks, Tugboat. You guys have a good one. See not Bush. Take a quick gander. Okay, they're doing some crafting. Yeah, we'll jump over to See Not Bush. That's somebody new. Thank you for the suggestion, Free Heathen. And I'm going to go ahead and get that raid started. Please come on over with me as we raid out. And all right, yeah, definitely reach out to me, Tugboat. I appreciate that. And we'll get you squared away. So, like I said, we're going to raid on out to See Not Bush. And I will see you guys Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, as we work on the black box. And Tugboat, if you guys want to see something really cool, come on over on Saturday once you guys get on up. And we will talk to you guys later. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Have a good night now.